So you want to secure your loved one's financial future, huh? And you're looking for some out-of-the-box ways to do that. We're talking about gifting a gold IRA, right? Not your typical birthday present, that's for sure. But it's an idea with some serious potential. Today, we're taking a deep dive into this unique approach to financial gifting. We'll be looking at an article from Gold IRA Blueprint titled, Can You Gift a Gold IRA? Or Make an IRA Contribution as a Gift? Let's get into basics. What exactly is a gold IRA? And how is it different from a traditional IRA?
Well, a gold IRA is essentially a self-directed IRA. Just like traditional IRAs, they offer tax advantages, especially for retirement savings. But here's the difference. Instead of holding things like stocks or bonds, a gold IRA is specifically designed to hold physical gold. We're talking about bars or coins safely tucked away in a secure storage facility.
Okay, so it's all about diversifying your portfolio with some tangible assets. But why gold specifically? What makes it such an attractive option for a long-term strategy?
Gold has a long history as a safe haven asset. When economic uncertainty hits or the market gets volatile, investors often turn to gold as a way to protect their wealth. See, unlike those fiat currencies, the ones affected by inflation, gold tends to hold its value. That makes it a very appealing choice for those looking to hedge against those, economic storms, let's call them.
I see your point, especially with today's unpredictable financial waters. Now, our listeners particularly interested in this whole gifting a gold IRA thing. Is that even possible?
It is possible to gift a gold IRA, yes. But, and this is a big but, it's crucial to understand the process. And of course, all the regulations involved. You can't simply hand someone a gold coin and say happy birthday.
Wow.
There's a formal transfer process that needs to happen, and it all goes through something called an IRA custodian.
A custodian sounds serious. What role do they play in all of this?
An IRA custodian is basically a financial institution. Could be a bank, a brokerage firm, that kind of thing. They're the ones who hold and administer your IRA. Their main job is to make sure all those transactions, like rollovers and transfers, comply with IRS regulations. When you're gifting a gold IRA, the custodian manages the transfer of ownership from, the original account holder to the lucky recipient.
So, involving the custodian right from the get-go is non-negotiable. Got it. But before we even dive into the transfer process itself, let's talk about who can actually receive this golden gift. Are there any age restrictions or other eligibility requirements?
Absolutely. The recipient needs to be eligible to actually own an IRA in the first place. Just like with a traditional IRA, they need earned income, and they have to be under the age of 70 and a half to make contributions.
Earned income. We're talking about money from a job, right?
Yep.
Not just any sorts of income.
Exactly. It's not about having a trust fund. It's about having income the government recognizes for IRA contributions.
That clears things up. Now, I know there are limits to how much you can contribute to an IRA each year. Do those same limits apply to these gold IRAs?
Yes, they do. The same contribution limits apply to both traditional IRAs and gold IRAs. For 2024, anyone under 50 can contribute up to $6,500 to their IRA. And if they're 50 or older, that limit bumps up to $7,500.
So even if someone gets a large sum of money as a gift, they can only put a specific amount into their gold IRA each year.
Precisely. But we need to be careful here. There's a difference between gifting an entire existing gold IRA and making contributions to someone else's IRA as a gift. Those are two separate scenarios.
Okay, let's unpack that. I have a feeling our listener wants to know about both options. Let's start with gifting an existing gold IRA. What should we be thinking about there?
Well, when you gift an existing gold IRA, you're transferring the entire account to the recipient, current value and all. That's where understanding tax implications becomes super important for both the giver and the receiver. Now, the act of gifting is usually tax-free, but, and there's always a but, right? There might be some tax consequences down the line.
Tax implications. Those are the magic words.
Yeah.
Let's dive into those a bit further, shall we? This is where things can get a little tricky.
You're not wrong. Understanding the tax implications is essential. And it's always a good idea to chat with a qualified financial advisor. They can make sure you're making informed decisions.
All right, let's shed some light on these tax implications. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of gold and gifting, but we want to make sure our listener is fully prepared.
Absolutely. When it comes to gifting a gold IRA, those tax implications, they can vary. It really depends on a few things, like the type of IRA we're talking about, how old the recipient is, and when they eventually want to withdraw those funds.
So it's not as simple as saying, here's some gold, enjoy your retirement.
Not quite. We're dealing with those tax-advantaged retirement accounts. The actual gifting part is usually tax-free. You won't owe gift tax on it, but the recipient, they might be facing taxes later on.
Can you give us a for instance?
Sure. Let's say you've got this gold IRA and you decide to gift it to your niece. Let's say she's in her early 30s. Now, when she gets that gift, she won't owe any taxes on the gold itself at that point. But when she starts taking distributions from that IRA in retirement, that's when those withdrawals become taxable as ordinary income.
That makes sense. So it's more like delaying the tax burden until retirement. But aren't there different rules for traditional IRAs compared to Roth IRAs?
You're right. The type of IRA does make a difference in how the taxes are treated. Traditional IRAs, like this gold IRA we're talking about, those contributions are often made with pre-tax dollars. You get a tax deduction up front, which is nice, but then those withdrawals in retirement, yeah, those are taxable.
It's like a trade-off then. A tax break now for potentially more taxes later.
Exactly. Now, with a Roth IRA, things are a bit different. Contributions come from after-tax dollars, so no upfront tax deduction there. But the plus side with a Roth IRA, those qualified distributions in retirement, tax-free.
Now, that's a pretty sweet deal,
Mm-hmm.
especially for someone just starting their career, probably in a lower tax bracket than they'll be in retirement.
You got it. And that's precisely why it's so crucial to think about the recipient, their individual circumstances, their long-term goals. All that comes into play when you're deciding what type of IRA would be the best gift for them.
And this circles back to why getting guidance from a financial advisor is so important. They can really help you navigate these ins and outs, right? And come up with a personalized strategy.
Couldn't agree more. A good advisor can also make sure you're following all those IRS rules. Like, for example, if you're making those direct contributions to someone's IRA, those contributions, they still have to follow those annual contribution limits.
Right. We definitely don't want anyone accidentally triggering any penalties or extra fees. So we've covered gifting an existing gold IRA. But what about that other scenario? Making direct contributions to someone's IRA as a gift. How does that work?
That one's actually more straightforward than gifting the whole account. Basically, you'd reach out to the recipient's IRA custodian and arrange to make the contribution directly to their existing IRA.
So it's almost like giving them a bonus to their retirement savings.
You got it. But, and there's always a but, right? There are a couple of things to keep in mind.
Oh, I bet there are. What potential pitfalls should we be aware of? So, just to be clear, the person getting the gift, they need to already have an IRA set up, right?
Yeah.
And they're cool with adding gold to the mix.
Exactly. It's not about surprising them with an investment they might not understand or even want, really. Like any financial decision that involves family or loved ones, communication is key.
Absolutely. Being open and honest about it from the start can prevent a lot of headaches later on.
Speaking of potential downsides, we've talked about the tax implications, but there's another thing to keep in mind. How gold itself performs.
Right. We've talked about gold being a safe haven, a hedge against inflation, all that. But like any investment, there are risks.
Exactly. Gold prices can be volatile. And while it tends to hold its value over the long term, historically speaking, there are no guarantees when it comes to investing.
That's why diversification is so important. Having a good mix of assets, stocks, bonds, precious metals can really help manage those risks.
I couldn't agree more. A well-diversified portfolio, it's like a balanced meal. It provides all the right nutrients for, your overall financial health.
I like that analogy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into gifting gold IRAs, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
Approach the strategy with, a mix of excitement and a healthy dose of caution. Gifting a gold IRA can be a really powerful way to help your loved ones build a secure financial future. But do your research. Make sure you understand the regulations, those tax implications we talked about, and never underestimate the value of personalized advice from a qualified financial advisor.
Excellent advice.
Yeah.
It's all about making smart decisions that align with your unique situation and your long-term goals.
And remember, the most valuable gift, the one that keeps on giving, is knowledge. Talk to your loved ones about finances. Equip them with the tools and information they need to make smart financial decisions. That's setting them up for success for years to come.
Well said. And on that note of empowerment and informed decision-making, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope this episode has given you some valuable insights and maybe even sparked some important conversations about securing your financial future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, knowledge is gold.